this that we call as action is actually just an output, the output of an algorithm. One won't even know what exactly is wrong, but there would linger a sudden unease, right? That exists because our action does not proceed from the core, but from there is action and there is the actor, and the actor does not know who the script writer is. Even before one's birth, the script is largely ready. One just performs the script. We are all the time acting. There is no moment devoid of action. Now do you see how easy it is to fool others and be fooled? In Indian philosophy, this pure I am, untouched by any conditioning, programming, is called the self. Beautiful word. We'll take the poem Apologies by Chuang Tzu. When a man steps on a stranger's foot in the market, he apologizes, saying, "The place is too crowded." If an elder brother steps on his younger's foot, he just says, "Sorry," and it ends there. If a parent steps on a child's foot, nothing is said at all. The deepest courtesy has no ceremony. Perfect conduct is effortless. Perfect wisdom is unplanned. Perfect love shows no performance. Perfect sincerity gives no proof. Our actions, our conduct, does not flow usually from a deep point in our being. Action is conditioned. Action looks only at the occasion and the training. The way it proceeds is, if such is the occasion and the stimulus, then such will be the reaction or the conduct or the behavior. So our actions then become algorithmic. We have been told, programmed in advance, if such a thing happens on the outside, this is how you are to react to it. And if you don't react to it this way, there will be consequences. Or if you react to it this way, then there will be certain benefits and securities. That's how our daily pattern of conduct moves. We are all the time acting. There is no moment devoid of action. But this that we call as action is actually just an output. The output of an algorithm. Input something and the algorithm is already trained in advance of the output to give. input, and that input is not even quite processed. It is just matched. Input, output, input, output. Right at the periphery of our being, right at the periphery of the being, sits that algorithmic fence. That fence doesn't allow anything to reach the core. As soon as something comes to me, the fence itself reacts. Input, a process of pattern matching. And then output, which is just reactive. Input, match the pattern, see what one is supposed to do in such a condition, just by pattern matching, not through discretion, not through understanding, just by pattern matching. When such is the situation, such must be the action. That's how we proceed. Getting it? And that means one misses out on life. That means that there would be a continuous sense of dissatisfaction and missing out. One won't even know what exactly is wrong, but there would linger a sudden unease. Right? That exists because our action does not proceed from the core, but from the algorithmically conditioned fence itself, the periphery itself. Getting it? So what does Chuang Tzu says here? He says, so there is the stranger in the market. And because the person is being called a stranger, so one does not feel secure with respect to that person. One feels no certainty. Obviously, there is no love. With such a person, immediately there is the rehearsed conduct of courtesy. Immediately. Response becomes performance. Response becomes performative. When a man steps on a stranger's foot in the market, he apologizes, saying, "This place is too crowded." Is the place really too crowded? Is that the reason why the stepping happened? Is there any sincerity in this utterance? None at all. But this is what we have been told to do. When such a thing happens, this is what you must say. When such a thing happens, this is what you must say. Stimulus, output. Input, output. Stimulus, response. Which is not even a response really, reaction. Just Act this way and you will be safe with respect to the stranger. The stranger won't mind. You won't have to pay a penalty or bear some unpleasant consequence. Just do this and you shall be safe. Right? A scripted answer to life itself. Since it's a poem, not an epic, Chuang Tzu could list only 3 or 4 instances. But this is how it is panning out, probably in every instance of our life. All that is happening is pattern detection. Something happens, a pattern is detected, and immediately then, from conditioned memory, a reaction arises, and this is what we call as life. You meet somebody on the way, greet them. Is the greeting arising from the core? Do you really appreciate or respect? Do you even know what the greeting means? Good day, sir. Is the day good, really? Sir indicates respect. Is there respect? Does one even know what respect means? But good day, sir, is very automatic. One cannot afford to miss out on it. Why? Simple reason. There is fear, there is insecurity. And there is a certain laziness. This is what the wise ones have pointed at, so that life can be lived more consciously. With more clarity, with more heart. What we have here is very simple instances, like stepping on a stranger's foot. But when you appreciate that such a thing happens, even in the so-called deeper, important, intimate matters of life, then the story starts looking scary. What to do? I'm now 15. The stimulus response matrix is already waiting for you. Input. I am 15. I come from such an educational stream, such an economic background, this kind of family, this gender, and the program would immediately, readily tell you how to act. The conduct need not have any authenticity. All it needs to have is algorithmic sanction. Now I am 20. What to do? Just input the variables. You don't have to understand. Just input the variables and you will be safe. Now I'm 25, input the variables. Now 30, now 45, now 60. Not only is one living by an algorithm, one does not even know where that algorithm came from. Then the question is one even living? Is there life? Is one alive? Or is it just the algorithm at work? Even if then one wants to claim life, one could say, well, one is a living, walking algorithm. The algorithm is alive. I am not. I am not. In philosophy, in Indian philosophy particularly, this pure I am, untouched by any conditioning, programming, is called the self. The self. Beautiful word. Self indicating who you really are. It's not a question of having. It's a question of being. You miss out on the self, and you have not missed out on something you could have had. You have missed out on existence, which is being itself. And there can be no greater loss. If you miss out on something that you could have attained, achieved, had, it's a loss to some degree. But what if you have missed out on being itself, on existence itself? Can one even measure the loss? No, the loss is infinite. Because now there is not even somebody to whom the loss has occurred. The one who could have suffered the loss has suffered his own loss. When you suffer a big loss, at least you remain to suffer the loss. What if the loss is existential? The loss is such that there is nobody left even to experience the loss. Absolute loss. The tragedy there would be, since now nobody remains to register the loss, therefore there would be very little grief. If I am and I lose something, right, I register it and suffer because I am. I might have lost much, but I haven't lost myself. I remain, so I can say I lost this pen, I lost this mug, I lost this mic. Most of us don't lose things. We lose being itself. If I lose stuff, then this surface of this table would be empty. Oh, there was supposed to be stuff here. My things are gone. Visualize. I am here on the chair, and the stuff on the table is gone. I'll be unhappy. I'll say, well, where are my things? Now visualize. The chair itself is empty. and the table is full. The table is loaded with stuff and there is nobody on the chair. That's what usually our situation is like. We don't lose things, we lose the self. Now there is nobody on the chair. Now this might be loaded. There is nobody really there to register the gain because there can be no gain. All gain is to somebody. That somebody is missing. And worse still, this tragedy will go unregistered, unnoticed. Nobody to grieve, nobody to mourn. Let's say everything here is wiped out. The table has been robbed. Would it matter? Why? There is nobody to see that everything is gone. Therefore, there would be no depth even in grief. The one who could have grieved is missing. That's life for us. Therefore, there is no depth in happiness. The one who could have attained is missing. Life comes from there, reaches the table, and returns from there. Input, and then there is this algorithmic periphery, the fence, the armor. Input, and then from this screen, this periphery itself, there is a reactive output. Nothing comes from the self. Nothing comes from the self. Why? Because you are all strangers and therefore I am afraid. I can't let the input from this direction come right up to me. I won't let it penetrate the fence, the defense. So this comes, stops here, it is processed here. And that processing is not really one of understanding, it is one of pattern matching. And then from here, some reaction, then returns to the whole process of life. This is how we live. Outside in and bounce. Outside in and bounce. Stimulus and a reaction bounces back. It is not inside out. It does not start from here. It starts from there. And all that my apparatus does is a good job of conditioned reflection. Thing comes from there, and then in a conditioned way, it just gets bounced back or reflected back. Shallow life. And then Chuang Tzu contrasts that to a situation where one feels secure and emboldened enough to not have this defensive armor, this fence. What happens then? If a parent steps on a child's foot, nothing is said at all. Nothing is said at all. Because in this situation, presumably, fear is absent. Therefore, there is no need for performance. There is no need for demonstration. There is no need for scripts and rehearsals. There is no need for an obligatory output. Getting this? Important phrase, this obligatory output. We probably need to consider how much of our output to life is scripted, rehearsed, and obligatory. This is what you must do in your condition. You are obliged to. Have you heard of this? Experienced this? Succumbed to this? Probably yes. This is what you must do in such circumstances. This is what is done. This is what you are supposed to do. And that's how the thing called life proceeds without any life. Even before one's birth, the script is largely ready. One just performs the script. There is action, and there is the actor. And the actor does not know who the script writer is. One acts for appreciation, for applause, for acceptance. One knows in advance how to reply when the co-actor comes up with his next line or next move. All very rehearsed and predictable, therefore no freshness. And then we wonder why one feels so bored in life. Right? Then we wonder where all mental illness comes from. And why do people take to strange, bizarre forms of entertainment? Entertainment is needed when there is boredom. And where there is a script, what else will you get? Therefore, one needs something constantly to feel alive. A lot of entertainment is needed. Instead of beauty, then what we have is vulgarity. And to feel alive, we then require violence. Just to wake ourselves up a little. There is blood. There is hurt. There is a war. Where are the bombs? I need to see that. Maybe that will wake me up a little, because I don't need to otherwise wake up. Why do I need to wake up? The algorithm is working for me. When I'm not even supposed to do anything, why should I remain internally awake? Externally, the algorithm is sufficient. The algorithm knows what to do. Good morning, sir. The algorithm already knows. I can be comfortably asleep behind the algorithm. The algorithm knows what to do next. Get a job, get a baby. I can be comfortably asleep. One is not missing out then on one thing or many things, or something in particular, one is then missing out on life itself. And that's an understatement, because there is nobody to miss out on anything. One is missing out on the self itself. Not just on life, but the liver. Are you getting it? We are being challenged here. We are being challenged, questioned. Can there be an authentic center of living? Can we be a little less afraid? Is it possible to live beyond custom, convention, tradition? Is it possible to not know the future and yet not feel insecure? That's the challenge. Is it possible to not know the outcome and yet act from the heart? Is it possible to keep calculations aside for a while? Moment these questions are lobbed at us, again there is fear. Right? And the fear says, I might lose something. That fear is partly biological and partly social. To some extent, it rests in our cells, and the rest of it has been implanted in the mind. The fear says you will miss out on something. What the fear doesn't tell you is, in trying to desperately ensure that you do not miss out on something in life, you are missing out on life itself, the liver itself. You are so focused on looking at what is there on the table that you have forgotten to look at the chair. The chair is empty. The table might be full or not full or semi-full or scattered or messy or structured or arranged. Whatever. How does it matter? The chair is empty. The table doesn't matter. Do you see this? Can you reflect on the degree of performance in life? The show, the facade. Can you see the extent to which it prevails? Perfect conduct is effortless because it does not come from any kind of processing. It comes from direct realization. Perfect wisdom is unplanned because it does not need a precedent and it does not care for the future. All it cares for is knowing. I must know what is happening. And it's not my job to care about the response. The knowing exhibits itself as spontaneous response. I don't need to worry about the response, therefore. If I know, I'll respond. My job is to know. My nature is to know. Life throws a question at me. My job is to understand it. My job isn't to measure my words. My job isn't to force fit a ready-made answer to the question. My job is to forget all about the answer. My job is to dedicate myself to the question itself. And from that dedication, an effortless response arises. Effortless and fresh, and unknown even to the responder. You get this? Perfect love shows no performance, perfect sincerity gives no proof. All proofs require a past. To prove that one is loving or sincere, one will need to have an image of love or sincerity, and that image can come only from the past. In perfect sincerity, one is looking at the question as it is right now. Therefore, it is both needless and impossible to indulge in a pattern matching activity. One won't say, since sincerity looks like this, therefore, if I want to appear sincere, let me look like this. This kind of conduct or expression or behavior is considered sincere, so let me behave this way. No. One is not focused on looking sincere. One is not even focused on being sincere. One is sincere. One is sincere to the extent that one does not even know that he or she is sincere. You ask that person, are you being sincere? He'll have no answer. He'll find the question awkward. Are you being sincere? And he'll look at you and say, well, I haven't thought of that. That's exactly what his state is. He hasn't thought of it, and sincerity is not something that can be a product of thought. A well thought out sincerity is no sincerity at all. Love which is an output of conditioned thought is no love at all. His senior, Lao Tzu, when it comes to love, says, if you know that you love, then there is no love. The moment the word love arises, love is gone. The true lover would have no idea that he loves, because love is not an idea. It is not a thing of thought. Do you understand this? How really, in your day-to-day life, do you detect love or sincerity? Please tell me. How will you know a person is loving or sincere or friendly or good or authentic? Is that not through pattern detection? Then is it not all quite unfortunate? Now, do you see how easy it is to fool others and be fooled? You know the patterns they are looking for, and you can display those patterns. They are not looking for love. They are looking for signs and signals of love. And you already know well in advance what those signs, signals, patterns are. So you can put them on, right? Why do you smile to people unnecessarily? Because you know they are looking for the smile. And you very well know the smile would be decoded as friendliness, benevolence, right? The thing is, not only do you know that, even the other person knows that. He knows that you know. He knows your decoding process. He knows that if he exhibits a smile, you will take that as a proof of his friendliness. So he will exhibit the smile. Devoid of signs and signals, what is love for us? What is sincerity for us? If love were to display no predictable signals, how would you detect love? That's the challenge. If sincerity were not to look sincere, how would you detect sincerity? What if sincerity looks very insincere? You're stuck. Not stuck, fooled. And that's how life really is. The perfect lover is bound to look quite unloving. Great sincerity is unlikely to show any signs of sincerity. And where you see abundant proof of love, it is most likely it's a thing put on. It's a display. It's a presentation. So much love, most likely a facade. But we'll be taken in. We'll say, well, 10 out of 10. All boxes ticked. Does he smile? Yes. Does he open the door for me? Yes. Does he bring gifts? Yes. Does he say nice things? Yes. Does he make promises for the future? Yes. So the algorithm says 10 out of 10. This is love. Because that algorithm is not coming from the self, therefore the algorithm is social, which means he too knows the algorithm. Had it been really authentically an individual algorithm, then he wouldn't have known the code. But he knows the code because it's a social algorithm. Everybody knows the algorithm. So, this that you are inwardly ticking, the boxes are all public. Everybody knows the boxes, the requirements, the input output equation, very public equations. And then we wonder why life has been fooling us. Sincerity has no need to display sincerity. But insincerity will have a great need to display sincerity. Wisdom will have no time to act wise. But stupidity will be determined to act wise. Why will wisdom care for a display of wisdom? Wisdom is wisdom itself. Why will wisdom bother to put on a facade of wisdom? But consider stupidity. Its entire being will be dedicated to looking wise. I must look wise. I must look sincere. I must look loving. Do you see what is happening? Do you see at how many levels it robs us of something very important? And how it enslaves us? Do you see that? Not only do you lose yourself, the consequence of losing yourself is that you become a social slave. I cannot act from within, but since I have to act from somewhere, so I become a puppet. The puppet has no internal locus. There is nothing called the self with respect to a puppet. Yet the puppet still acts all its life. If the action is not coming from your heart, from your core, where is it coming from? Somewhere. Please figure out from where. Hmm?